officially to order. Hope everybody's enjoying their breakfast. We have Joe's delicatessen this morning, which is very good. If you haven't had Joe's, tell us what you think, and you've had Joe's before. So, just real quickly, I think it's good to come back time to time to think about this. Our president last year started doing this at meetings, but just a mission statement, restatement. Keep that in mind. Everything should be in your little flyer. It's in front of you. Big thank you to Amanda for coming up with these trifolds. Gives you something to walk away with. It's not just a regular piece of paper. It's actually colorful, as well as informational. But the FCBR mission statement. The purpose of Franklin County Board of Realtors is to assist its members in successfully pursuing the real estate business in a professional manner with honesty, integrity, and competency, an atmosphere of freedom, thereby enhancing the image of the realtor, to better serve the public through cooperation of its members in marketing of real property, to represent the membership in protecting their industry rights, and through collective action to promote the preservation of real property rights. And that's, if you actually break down those sections of our mission statement, there's a lot of heavy lifting that we as realtors here at FCBR are called to do. Because of that, in our mid-year broker and committee meeting, we've invited a few guest speakers here. Our first guest speaker is going to be Becky Klein. She's with the St. Charles Board of Realtors. She's also the president of the St. Charles Women's Council. Soon to be the president-elect of St. Charles, I heard this morning, as well as active on the state level. She's going to just quickly do a promotional speech about C2EX. Again, that's commitment to excellence. For those that aren't familiar with it, it ties in there with our professionalism and our mission statement and what we're called to do. Later on in our agenda, we're going to have Molly McVay, which I'm surprised I got that right instead of saying Molly White. Molly McVay is going to give us an RPAC update. That's the Realtor Political Action Committee. She is our state GAD for this portion of the state. Kind of talking about the monies that have been raised and what's going to happen there. Keep in mind, for those that aren't familiar, and those many of you here contribute to RPAC, the importance there, sending our realtors up to Jeff City to lobby our legislators in favor, or should I say, to petition our legislators in favor of legislation that has to deal with realtor industry, property rights going on, as well as we have a lobbyist that goes and continues day in and day out to fight for that and keep our industry strong, which is, again, one of the pillars of our mission statement. We also have a guest speaker from Maris today. I think it's kind of interesting. I had to read this twice. I thought it was a typo, Randy. It said Randi Maris Penny.
Oh, Randi Marie.
Well, on here it says...
Oh, it is a typo then.
On here it says Maris. I'm like, wow.
That would have been interesting.
Maris, looking at this, so Randi Marie Penny is here from Maris to talk about a few items, and then we're going to do a little housekeeping on what's coming up in the future, as well as some upcoming events. So, all that being said, it's my pleasure to introduce Becky Klein to speak with us this morning. She's going to be brief because she has to run to another appointment. Becky?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here. Just a quick question for you. How many of you have enrolled in the C2EX platform? Okay. That's okay. That's why I'm here. So the C2EX idea actually started back in 2014 at the national level with just a question: what can we do to be better realtors? How can we put ourselves, put professionalism first and become better at what we do? So through a lot of different pegs and a lot of different committees and groups, they found the C2EX and developed the C2EX program. At that point, when they released it, it was 2018 at the Boston National Conference, and they were hoping to get 10,000 people to participate. So here we are in 2021, and as of July, there are 80,000 people that have enrolled in the program. Of that 80,000, 13,000 across the country have completed the C2EX endorsement. So I'm happy to 2019, and am now a C2EX ambassador, so I get to go around and talk to different people about the program and the opportunities there. So a couple of quick things about the program that make it great to use is that it is mobile friendly. So you can do it on your cell phone, you can do it on a tablet, a laptop, however, whatever is easiest for you. It is self-paced, so you have no deadlines when you have to finish it. You go at your own pace and finish the tasks as you're able to. And there is no additional cost to the C2EX program. It is included in the membership fees that we pay to the National Association of Realtors. So the point behind the C2EX program is to evaluate, enhance, and showcase our abilities, not only to our fellow realtors, but to the public as well. There are different C2EX competencies that it evaluates you on and then allows you to enhance your skill level in those. They are real estate law, the code of ethics, fair housing, advocacy, trust and integrity, technology, safeguard privacy, areas of practice, client service, professional reputation, and then there is one additional for brokers, so there is a bonus section just for brokers. The way each section of the program starts out is you will do an assessment under each of those categories just to see what your level of knowledge is, and then based on your answers to those assessments, it will develop a personalized path to lead you through C2EX and get you to your endorsement. Once you've completed all of the required tasks, now some of them are videos that you watch, some of them are resources that you go out to the NAR site to find, some of them are actual tasks where they ask you to go out into your community and attend some sort of community meeting. So it's not all just reading, it's a multifaceted approach to the program. And the idea is to obviously make you a more professional realtor, give you more knowledge, give you more skills, and actually get you out in the community so that people understand realtors aren't just transactional, we're part of the community in which we serve. There are some additional features as well with the C2EX program. You can send surveys from there. So you can send open house feedback surveys, you can send showing feedback surveys, or after a closing you can send a survey to a client just to see how you performed. There's a library available, so any of the videos or articles that you read as part of your C2EX journey, you can find those materials on NAR site. Another great thing that I really loved about the program is there are so many things on that NAR website that you've never spent any time. And it can be a bit of a daunting task to find specifically what you're looking for. So what I loved is C2EX led me through finding all of these different resources that I didn't even know were available to us. So that was fantastic too. So there's also videos and help guides through every section of the program too. So they're trying to make it as easy as possible for us to go through this. Once you are endorsed, there are a number of materials that you can purchase or that you can download. You will get a certificate once you're done that you can frame and hang on the wall. There's table tents that you could put at your desk if you meet with clients there. And it's just, again, promoting the fact that there is this commitment to excellence program. And then it's a good thing for you as an agent to be endorsed. The endorsement also appears on realtor.com. So it's shown to anyone who could search you there that you are endorsed. There is a separate broker benefit as well. So as a broker, you have the opportunity to go in and create tasks for your agents. So if there's a certain thing that you want to make sure that they're doing, you want to make sure they're attending brokerage meetings or whatever it is, if you would prefer that they get more involved in the community and you want to set them tasks that way, you can do that. As an individual, you can't create tasks for the whole group, you can't do it for yourself. So there is also a brokerage level for the endorsement. If 80% of the agents in your office are C2EX endorsed, the office's managing broker must also be C2EX endorsed. That's a tongue twister. But as long as 80% and your managing broker are endorsed, you can become a brokerage, a C2EX endorsed brokerage. And again, of course, there are more materials that you could purchase for that. You can put riders on your for sale signs and all sorts of things. They are really working on developing more ways to show people not only that you are C2EX endorsed, but also what that means and why it's important for consumers to work with C2EX endorsed realtors. But the biggest benefit, I think, one of the biggest benefits to being C2EX endorsed is that we are required through NAR to complete a code of ethics requirement every 3 years, correct? If you earn and maintain your C2EX endorsement, it takes care of that code of ethics requirement. So once you are endorsed, every 3 years, there will be additional tasks that you need to go in and complete, but once you've done that, that serves as your code of ethics requirement for NAR, which is why both are on a 3-year cycle now. So there is currently a C2EX challenge going on at the national level. You can actually win your brokerage $5,000 your association $5,000 for getting the most. You're like, no, I was a brokerage too, but it's not. Sorry, association $5,000, but still, that's great. Can you imagine what FCBR could do with $5,000? So basically, the challenge is to go in, enroll in the program, and get endorsed by October 1st of 2021. So again, it is at your own pace. You can do it as quickly or as slowly as you want. For me, the program has been great because I do enjoy telling clients, you know, I have an endorsement, this is what it means for you. I get to come and talk to people like you as well. But it's a fairly simple process. There's no additional cost, like I said previously. There is one component that if you do not already have a certification or a designation, that is the one thing that there could be an additional cost for. So in order to complete the program and earn your endorsement, you do have to have one designation or certification through the National Association of Realtors. So if you already have one of those, there is no additional cost. If you don't already have one, NAR is offering discounts on several of the certifications and designations right now. So just log in to NAR and you should be able to find those. It's through the Right Tools Right Now program that they started last year. So that is a very quick overview of C2EX. Does anyone have any questions on the program? Yes.
Is the code of ethics component that you talked about, will that apply for continuing education through the state? Or is it just?
It's just the national, it's just the NAR requirement for that code of ethics cycle. Any other questions? All right, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for inviting me here, and I apologize for being quite so brief, but you do have a full agenda ahead of you, and I will just
We don't mind.
get out of your way.
Thank you very much, Becky, and I appreciate you coming out. You know, I think the takeaway, there's a lot of information there, and she just skimmed the tip of the iceberg. The other takeaway there, from a broker standpoint, is this should be something that we are going back to our office and to our agents and promoting amongst our agents in order to better themselves in their business. Everybody loves to have their continuing ed already taken care of, so it's there with the code of ethics, but really it's to make us better realtors, and hopefully we can start increasing the participation of those that are certified within our board limits. Committee members and affiliates, sorry, you don't exactly get to take part in some of that. No, go ahead. Thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, coming up here is our mid-year board review. I should have read that a little closer. I made 2 notes and it was already on. So mid-year board review is having a total brain fart here. Even though it's right in front of me. A lot of things are going on. So the first thing I want to tell everybody is we discussed. Maybe I should have had more than just a little granola bar. This dieting thing messes with your brain sometimes.
It's a
So we-
senior moment.
Yeah, but I'm not a senior yet. I even shaved all the whiskers off to look younger today.
Happens earlier for some. Welcome.
Yeah, well, welcome you to the clan. Thanks
Welcome to my
again.
world.
So one of the things that we've been discussing here, and this is more on a broker standpoint, is there has been discussion about an office relocation possibility. It's something that comes up in the long term, or has been on the long-term strategic planning for years and years and years. And it's something that gets discussed and then gets paused, and then something gets discussed, and then gets paused. Again, with the real estate market being the way it is, looking at the professionalism of our current location and what goes on, it's still a topic that is being discussed. Steve Leaker has been in charge of a task force to kind of look into that, figure things out. It's still something that's moving forward, slowly as it may be, but there's a lot of things to consider. But I want to let everybody know, because I've gotten positive feedback and I've gotten negative feedback. There's nothing that we do at the board that is secretive. So I thought now, again, as a mid-year review, now's a good time to kind of mention some of that we're working on. We've also made an investment into a new program called Growth Zone. What Growth Zone is going to do is help us better manage our agents and our board. It's a one-stop platform to better access the multiple platforms that Amanda and Becky have to go into when adding a new member. An office transfer happens, they change a new member, and multiple things. And Amanda just spent an hour and a half on the phone yesterday doing the first onboarding, and it was the onboarding to the onboarding, from what I heard.
Definitely the onboarding.
So it's going to take a little bit to get all that stuff up and running, but that is an investment that was made to be more effective at the board office. Another fun fact, and I'm really excited about this, Amanda did go out as our AE, and FCBR now has a real estate school. We have our own real estate school. The benefit there is, in the past we would go and find folks to teach CE amongst the board. And so there was an expense that members paid to take those classes, and then there was an expense we had to get those people there, and we, the board, the AEs, were doing a lot of work in processing paperwork and things like that. With this, having our school, we're able to now start to increase the member services when it comes to educational opportunities in CE. We're saving money on that expense. When we go out, instead of going to a school and they soliciting somebody and they charging us, now we can go solicit people to teach these classes, make sure they're certified through the state, and hopefully offer more CE throughout the course of 2 years. 2 years, 3 years now? It changes, 2 years, renewal period, because in the past, we have the courses at the Knights of Columbus Hall in Union, where we just slam it all in there in 2 days, and we get a bunch of people. We'll still do that, but we're also going to try to provide things throughout the course of the year, so we're not having to get so many people into one spot. So something to kind of keep in mind and take back.
This might help us do travel.
It might. It's a good point. The idea also was to do traveling CE. We've gotten some feedback from folks saying, hey, I'm out in Owensville, and I know you guys offer this, but it gets to be a bit of a travel, or whatever the case may be, going out there and doing small, 20, 30 people, covering with that portion of the board, and doing the same thing other places. Also talking about traveling, one thing that we have talked about, I've kicked around, and Amanda and I have kicked around, and I know Derek, I think, did it a little bit when he was president, as well as Abby Zide and that committee went out and we had those cookies that shaped like houses, went out and visited offices. What we're doing is last week?
Yeah.
Okay, it all blends together. So last week we went to Ruthie's, and I almost called it Klein's. We went to Ruthie's in Rosebud, went off the diet, had a great breakfast, but we had about 10 folks come and join us from that area. We talked about a lot of the same stuff we're talking about today. It was real casual, got some feedback, heard some funny stories, but a way to get out there and try to engage more of our members within the board, as well as more members in the outlying areas. Next week, we're planning on going to Cuba.
No, Sullivan. What's Southern Sullivan area?
Okay. We're going to Sullivan.
Rooster.
Yeah.
To Cracker Barrel.
Boy, I was
Going to Cracker Barrel. Yes.
I was hoping to go to, I was looking at restaurants yesterday, up in Cuba, and one of them looked that great.
Okay, next month we'll be going to Cuba.
There you go. So anyway, just as a way to be engaged with more members within the board. So since I'm stumbling, fumbling, what I'm gonna do now is actually turn the podium, so to speak, over to Randi, and she can talk to us about some merits items. And whenever you're ready, come on down.
So thanks for letting me come join you guys this morning. Yeah, I'm just kind of here to give you an update on some of the things that have happened since we haven't been in person Ameris for a little while, and to let you know what's going on and to ask any questions that you have. Because ultimately, we love suggestions, we love to hear what's going on. Sometimes there's a lot of things we can help with that we just don't know what the question is until we hear it. So I have a couple slides. The first one, of course, is coming soon. Is everybody navigating coming soon pretty okay? I'm getting some smiles, some okays, yeah. So there's a couple things about coming soon that I just want to clarify. First is that pre-scheduling showings. So coming soon went to a status that we don't allow showings within the home during coming soon, but it can be pre-scheduled. So if my listing goes coming soon today, but it's not expected to go active till next week, it's gonna block in showing time all the days that it's in coming soon and release the expected active date and further out so that all the agents can pre-schedule on your showing for when it goes live. Okay. The marketing piece, that's up to you. Once it's in coming soon, it satisfies the CCP rule. Every agent can see it, right? If I go down the street, there's a sign, I can look in the MLS and it's there. And that's what CCP is really trying to get to, is that if I go see that sign, I'm not going, I can't find it, where is it? I have to go to another website, okay? Open houses. When coming soon switched to a non-showing status, you might have seen that open houses went away for about a week in coming soon. They are back so that you can schedule them similar to showings after your expected active date. And then the last one, it's still 21 days. It does not count days on market. So any questions that you guys have at all with coming soon? All right. I'm assuming I did that an excellent job right there. In terms of showing time, they did unleash is a weird word, right? They put out two new things. The ability to schedule overlapping showings or to change that on your listing. So when COVID first hit, they changed everyone to no overlapping showings because we didn't want multiple people in the house at the same time. Now they're back to 4 options, right? No overlapping showings, which you can absolutely hold as your default. Or you can change it to yes, allow overlapping showings and notify the agent, or just yes, allow overlapping showings. Okay, the last one in there is no exclusive appointment requests only. They also put in a buffer time. So if you say no overlapping showings, you can choose if there's a time between those showings. So if I'm allowed 15 minutes, there might be a 10-minute window where I can't have anyone else come in before my next showing. Any questions on some of the showing time pieces in that? All right. We have 2 new employees. Has anyone called support recently? That's a good thing, actually, right? So normally when you call in, you get Jason or Haley. Sometimes you'll get me, depending on how crazy the day is. We've included now a new member, and her name is Elizabeth. We have 2. I was trying to remember which one I was going with. Elizabeth Studley, and she is going to do half support, half EDU. So she'll be training part of the time and on the support call as well. So you'll see her name out and about. We also had our compliance specialist retire, which is an awesome thing, right? But then we had to go and we found someone new. I don't know if you've heard the name Tracy Yost. She actually worked with Maris years ago and then went to the St. Louis Association for I think about 5 years. And then she came back to help us with compliance. So she's been working on updating those notifications that come to people that look like we're like that, right? We want it to be more, hey, we noticed your tax ID is wrong. It's very probable that you something, fix it for us, please, okay? Rather than, oh my gosh, what did you do? You're getting fined right now, right? So we're trying to update that piece. Any questions on compliance, on support, anything that you guys have in those realms? All right, have just a couple, and then I'm gonna open it up, so keep thinking of those questions. Surveys, has anyone seen the surveys come out? No, a few yeses, okay. So every month we do a newsletter, and you might see a survey in there. When you do an education experience, you might get a survey sent to you. We're trying to verify that we're doing a good job, so we like to ask you how we're doing. So once a quarter, you'll see an email comes out that goes to your email that says, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, would you recommend us or not? Okay. Now I know you're like, well, do we have a choice, right? But the question is really, if we were put up against someone else, are we doing a good job? Okay. So you'll see those. We try and block it so that you're not getting more than one, right? So if you come see me one day and you call support the next day, you're not getting 14 surveys sent to you. But so that kind of gets tabulated quarterly. We look at them in the office in real time. You can ask for us to reach out to you. So if you're like, you know what, you guys are a 1, I'm not a fan, and here's why, and I want you to call me. We're happy to have that conversation. We want to be able to make that user experience a good one. So please let us know if there's ever anything that we can do to help that. There is a new construction survey that we'll be launching soon. So if you're in the new construction realm, it's going to start to everyone to kind of gauge if you're in that new construction space. And then from there, we'll have others that really lean into what new construction is inside of the matrix. All right, some things to keep an eye on. Does anyone use Remind? Okay, so they're doing a slight update to their search screen. So you'll notice a little bit of a difference. They pulled a listing search away from a property search. So if I search listings, it's going to show me every time it was in Maris in multiple cards. If I search for property details, it's going to show me one property detail that gives me everything on that property. So that's coming. The other note that's upcoming, CCP, NAR is always looking at CCP, making sure we're all doing what's best, that the rules fitting. So those, of course, could come out throughout the year. But any questions on anything new and upcoming that you guys heard of or you have questions on? Yes.
May not be pertinent to what you're talking about, but I have been trying for years to have it where it would be uniform. If you have like 5th Street,
Okay.
half the agents say 5th, spell it out, some 5. So when I'm searching, it's okay, it didn't come up. Then I had to it should be uniform. Now, you know, because we have a lot of numbers in ours.
We do. We find it's not always consistent across county records either. So
It
I
is.
don't know if you've ever searched with 5th, comma,
I have
FIFTH.
not.
That's usually what I tell people to do. Because if you search them
Oh,
both
well, yeah.
together, you'll get both.
I mean, but it's just, you know how you get it fast, and it's.
I gotcha.
But it just doesn't make sense to me, why, but I guess, like you said, you're trying to cover the tax rate.
Right, we're trying to keep it consistent. Also, yeah, it's just hard to find a way to verify that they have to put it in that way. So yes, I will take that back and see if there's.
It just makes sense to me, because it happens a lot in our area.
I gotcha. We do get that a lot too with highways, state route numbers, PCR numbers, those sorts of things. That's why I try to get out there the asterisk and the comma when you're searching. The asterisk being the wild card. So if I'm searching for, what's a good, anybody got a state route number out here or a highway, something you search all the
50,
time?
47.
Highway 50, Highway 47.
Now, they're not gonna spell those out, but it's mostly the streets in town.
Right, gotcha. But whenever you do those things, say it was on Highway 47, I do asterisk space 47, that asterisk is gonna get any variation of highway that exists.
And that's another thing, they spell highway out.
And they abbreviate it, some abbreviate it with a period at the end, so it, yes, I
That's a good
understand.
idea.
It is, I would love that option, we haven't found an easy way to do that. All right, any other questions like that? Yes.
The MLS exempt form now says you can't do anything if it's MLS exempt. What can you do? MLS
So the
exempt?
MLS exempt form is actually not a form anymore. We got
Right,
rid of
the
that with
option.
the marketing options form.
But no
So-
sign in the yard.
Right, if it's in withheld, there's no advertising whatsoever. So no sign, no marketing, no Facebook,
No showing?
no showing. Well, I'm sorry, withheld can be one-on-one showings where it's you and another person, but it can't be, I'm doing an open house on Saturday. Does
It
that
could be
make
within
sense?
your office, right?
Yes, within your
office, an
brokerage.
Agent within your office can
Yes.
do the brokerage.
Yeah, so if we were all a brokerage, I could say I have a listing in withheld. I could take one of your clients to see it, but I can't go to Facebook and say, hey guys, I have a listing here.
Can you go to another office and do that?
She can tell you about it.
I believe that you're okay, and that's one of the things NAR is looking at. But it's, do they want to allow them?
That's a
You
big
can't
defeats the
advertise
purpose of why we're putting it.
But I can verbally
Because that's
tell
what
them
we're seeing, in-house concept selling, wherever you can MLS, because they have that.
Because they have withheld, and they've always had withheld, it used to be MLS exempt, where they would
They
live
would
in
pay
there.
you, but I was thinking when you were exempt, you were taking care of that situation.
Oh, I gotcha.
Because I see that all the time, and it's like you don't even hear about it,
Right.
which is, I guess that's part of doing it, listening, but that to me is not like it's not to the fund.
I understand that. Yeah, and that's something we hear, and that's why NAR keeps looking at that rule and keeps seeing if there's more that we need to.
That's the point.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any other questions on that?
On the new construction survey, was that just to find out how the new construction people felt about it, or are you revamping it?
So it's kind of a threefold process, basically. So that first one is to see what everybody thinks of what new construction's like in the system and how you get data on new construction. And then the next one's gonna be like, hey, we noticed you're pretty big in new construction. Do you wanna be a part of this team that helps update our rules in new construction and how we enter them and how we do that? Yeah, so we're kind of, the ultimate goal is a task force for new construction to make it, kind of see what we can do to fix it, to make it the best. Does that answer?
It does.
Okay.
It does need a lot, it does need work. It is very, it's, the rest of it's fine, but that is the, tough piece of the MLS.
Okay, absolutely, and if you wouldn't mind, I'll give you my email after, just send me your name, I'll make sure I put you on the list too, and we'll make sure you're, if you want to be, part of that. Absolutely. All right, any other questions on that before I tell you 2 quick tips? No. As a matter of fact, you guys already asked me the 1 tip, but that's okay, we'll kind of go over it again. So does everybody use the single line display in Matrix? Where you see the lines of data? Did you know you can add a column to that single line display? So if you're looking at the single line and it's got all the rows of all the properties and all the bedrooms and all the bathrooms, if you want to see what subdivision it's in, you can right click on a column heading and insert a column into that spreadsheet so that it will allow you more data on that without going into the detail display to view where that is. Okay? Same with basement description, same with all these other pieces. And I will send Amanda how to do both of these because you can't see it on the screen in front of you right now. The second is very much to what we were talking about earlier. Who uses the quick search in theirs? Anybody use the detail search? Okay. I love the detail search because there's a spot to search through marketing remarks for things that might not be in your normal listing input. So if my client said, hey Randy, I have a goat and I want to know what properties allow goats. There's not a field in Maris for goats, right? Not that there shouldn't be, maybe one day there will be, but if I go to the detail search screen, to the marketing remarks, and say asterisk, goats, asterisk, that tells the system, well, I want anything that contains the word goats in the marketing remarks. And there are usually at least 6 in all of Missouri that say the word goat. So I could look for my client, right, and start. I know goats are allowed in these 6 properties. Let's search nearby, right? But goats is not always the big one. As is properties, mid-century homes, marketable timber, all of these things that are not have a designated spot in Matrix are things that a list agent will put in their marketing plans. So you need a way to search that. All right, guys, so that's kind of my spiel. Any other questions you guys have? And so whatsoever.
I just want to comment, I have seen a great, I mean, it's always been good, but a great improvement of calling back and getting an answer, and they're very friendly, very helpful.
Well, thank you very much, and we appreciate that. Jason and Haley are great. So, yeah, I was gonna say, I know how she talks to you. So Jason is amazing, and Haley is too, but he calls a lot of people. He does a lot of stuff. All right, guys, well, if there's no other questions, I will send Amanda those tips, and I will get them out to you. I will send her my contact information. Please reach out anytime. I appreciate you guys letting me take the time, and I'm gonna move along now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Randy, I know that in our office meetings, and I know when I was with CVP, Mark had mentioned it, and I'm sure it's the same thing in everybody else's office. You know, there's always a mayor's question that comes up, there's always a mayor's issue, there's always a mayor's clarification. You know, it's important to stay on top of those things. I appreciate you coming out today and talking a little bit with us. And hopefully, Liz, you got some answers there, or some better understanding, and Cindy, you know, good questions. So, we're gonna move on to the next thing. We're gonna do the mid-year financial review. Unfortunately, our treasurer, Hayden Locke, could not make it today, but I'll go through that. And before I do, though, there was one thing earlier I wanted to mention. Again, I'm happy that everybody's here. I know we all have a lot of questions. Keep in mind that, you know, whether it's a board meeting or committee meetings or task force, you know, our meetings are not closed. They're open to all of our members and to our brokers, unless we go into an executive session to discuss something specific. Meetings are open, so if you're ever curious of what goes on, you know, you're welcome to attend. I know we get so many questions about what's going on, but then nobody shows up. When we do, we try to tell people what's going on, but again, the meetings are open to folks for sit in and kind of listen while we're doing our business. That being said, moving on to the mid-year financial review, just so everybody here has a kind of a concept of where we're sitting at. Currently, our general operating fund is at $80,637. Our estimated expenses through 2020, the remainder of 2020 from now until the end, is approximately $44,754. You don't have to worry about writing these numbers down. They all should be in front of you in the pamphlet. Our estimated income through the remainder of the year is $16,200 for a projected ending balance of $52,091. We do pretty good. Our operating expenses for the year are approximately $194,000. It has fluctuated over the years between 92 and 96. So 194 is a good range. We get in about the same amount of income, and then we put that out. I will put an asterisk in what I just said, as some of that dollar amount is because we collect dues for both NAR and MR, and that money goes through. So we just become a pass-through, so it really doesn't truly give an exact picture of what those annual operating costs are. The good thing, though, is as we become more and more automated and online, and folks are paying online to NAR directly, a lot of that stuff comes out, and we only see the finances that we get in specifically, so it'll give us a more concise and better idea of how we're doing. The good thing is we have a good financial reserve currently. Our investment reserves are $104,434. What investment reserves are, those are items that have been put into reserve accounts, either in the form of savings or CD. As we all know, because we have many of our banker folks here, CD rates are not very great right now, but when we did shift to some of them, we were getting pretty good rates on them. We also have them in money in some of the money market accounts, so that it's passively earning what little interest it can, but it's still earning money on our behalf. Our capital reserve is $77,111. Our operating reserve is $50,664. So kind of get everybody, the operating reserve is if our current operating fund, general operating fund would dip below something, or there'd be an expenditure that we'd have to partake in, we would dip into the reserve. Capital reserves, same thing. If there's a capital investment or improvement we wanted to make into the board physically, that's kind of where we would take that reserve there, as opposed to taking out the general operating. Our recommended financials, we talked to the IRS, they like us to have a minimum of 1 year, which is $200,000. And then NAR recommends at best 3 years, which would be $600,000 at current rates. If you guys are interested in know more about the financials, we have them broken down even further at the office. But just to get an idea, over the last 5 years, that operating expense has continued to creep up just because the market fluctuates, cost of goods and services increase, et cetera, which makes those reserves kind of a moving target. The other thing is we sit there and think about, wow, how did we have $600,000 in reserve? That's just crazy, especially with the amount of members we have and the income revenue we have. Really, it comes down to, like, that's the same thing as how did we get to $200,000? Over the years, our past payees have slid little money aside. As you know, Sharon Stilson was our executive director for a lot of years, and they would squirrel money aside into those reserves. So without that happening, without the foresight of those boards, we wouldn't have the reserves that we have today. I will admit that due to a lot of turnover over the last 5-6 years, we haven't necessarily squirreled money away for the long term, but we have shifted money around in order to get better returns on better products, as well as to streamline our financial process. What a lot of people don't know is 5 years ago, I think we had 12 to 13 different accounts of where we had money and products, and that just is not good fiscal sense and good business. We streamlined a lot of that to make better sense of how we're going to manage our members' money. And ultimately, that's what we are, as stewards of our members' investment and doing what's in their best interest. So we constantly looking at that and working toward the future and being more fiscally sound and responsible at the same time. Now to kind of talk, I'm going to turn it over to Molly so she can give us an RPAC update. Again, RPAC is something very important. It's one of these things. I know our RPAC chair for the board is Steve Leaker this year, kind of bounced between Bob Boardman and Steve Leaker, but it is something that's important. When I first became an agent, I wouldn't even do the minimum 15, and now I've pledged to have become a major investor because I do see the importance. So, come on up.
Yeah, we'll go over that importance. Hey guys, I know a lot of you guys have met me before. So I'm Molly McVay, I'm your guys' regional advocacy coordinator for Eastern Missouri. I know that whenever we discuss RPAC, it's always like money, money this, money, money that, and so that is a part of it, which is great because if you put money into something, you get money out of something. So I kind of wanted to go over how your RPAC dollars goes to help not only you guys here locally, but on the state level. And I'll touch a little bit on the federal level too. I'm gonna go over a lot of information really quick. So if you need to stop me and ask a question, I will answer it the best that I can. Whenever you guys invest your $25 in RPAC on your dues billing, or whenever you guys participate in your annual float trip or fishing derby, which actually are two very unique fundraisers. No other local association in our state has those. So I highly encourage you guys to sign up for them. Float trips next week, so make sure you do that. But whenever you invest in RPAC, we are able to bring that money back to Franklin County in your guys' jurisdiction. If there's somebody locally running for office, that would tremendously help your guys' business out, who understands the purpose and priority of private property rights and home ownership. We can help your campaign out. NAR has a great program that we can use for campaign materials, radio, phones, whatever the campaign would actually need. We actually also have a bunch of other grants that have nothing to do with on the state level, I know that you guys have always heard about how we don't have transfer taxes or mortgage fees. By the way, Missouri touches 8 other states, and they all have this, but we don't, so that's one reason why I'm bringing them up. So transfer taxes and mortgage fees, we don't have those, all the other states do, and they kind of vary in pricing depending on where you're at. The sales tax on services ban was a huge win in 2016. For those of you guys that were around with insurance, we had all the campaign stuff, that passed with flying colors. And I believe it's only 17 states that actually don't have a sales tax on services that includes real estate, so I think we nipped that in the bud pretty quick, which is great. 2021 legislative breakdown that I want to touch base on really quick, which I said is kind of a lot, which is good, because that means you're really busy. We had a bunch of LLC type of legislation pass. The first one is basically if you are a licensee, which is a business entity that's associated to a broker's entity, you don't have to have a separate license with the MREC, but you can still do all your taxes and stuff on that. So basically, you can be treated the same as other small business owners by owning your own LLC, separate from the MREC. So that was a huge win. We also specified the advertising language. Pretty much, if you're advertising yourself or your team, you don't want to do like air quotes around yourself to misconstrue your team for the brokerage that you're representing. So that was something I think that was pretty simple, that passed pretty quick. Low income housing and historical tax credits. There were quite a few legislators who wanted to really get in the weeds and kind of say like, oh, it needs to be up to this much, this needs to be the cap, and blah, blah, blah. We have government entities that actually take care of that. Our biggest purpose was just to make sure that they don't wipe them out completely and get rid of them. So we're actually very successful in maintaining the status quo for both of those. The Missouri Non-Discrimination Act, unfortunately, did not pass yet again. This has been on kind of the legislative docket for, I believe, about 30 years or so. Right now, as it stands, we don't have any clauses against discriminating against people based upon their sexual orientation or gender identity. There was a Supreme Court case that actually cleared that up in the workforce, but that was actually not specific to housing or to public accommodations. So we're actually the only business association in the state of Missouri to actually support this year. So that was actually a good thing. Hopefully moving forward, it will pick up some more traction. So we also supported PACE, which is Property Assessed Clean Energy. And basically this just allows people to get loans that at a lower interest rate that can replace insufficient old HVACs or higher efficiency units. It doesn't have to be HVACs, but in Missouri that's kind of like one of the big ones. So we did that. We also passed the Wayfair, which was pretty quick, in my humble opinion, but basically the businesses with receipts, well, I guess engaging in business activities within the state, who gross receipts of at least $100,000 or more from the sale of tangible personal property used in Missouri, those vendors will be required to collect and remit a use tax. So that was like a big win for commercial property. And speaking of commercial property, I met with Representative Ann Wagner yesterday. According to her, I think the 1031 exchange are in a really bad spot. Our national association, I know our St. Louis association, are trying to collect stories about how 1031 exchanges are helpful, especially since most of these are for the mom and pop type of investors. So if you guys know of any of those, please let us know and be willing to share your stories. This current Congress and administration wants to get rid of them completely. So it's kind of upsetting, but it is what it is. So whenever you guys give to RPAC, what we do is we actually lobby on the local, state, and federal level, just to make sure that you guys as business owners are protected. And not only that, but to educate you guys on what's going on so you guys can also protect your consumers. I know our major investors, whenever you're wearing those pins, Shelly's got one of those pins, I believe, you have clients that are asking what they are. And basically you be able to tell them that you know what's going on, that you protect private property rights. It gives you more clout, I think. So we have a few ways that you can invest just besides going to events, because it's summertime, things are open, everybody's busy, you guys are going to stuff. They're just casuals today. We do have stickers for sale, so you get 3 for $15. If your office usually does business attire, I get it. If it doesn't, ignore me. But we have stickers that you guys can wear, and they're 3 for $15. $15 actually does make you a participant in RPAC. You're in sheets such as this. So if this is something that you guys have, you know, usual meetings or board meetings that people dress up for and want to make it casual, or do a Cardinals t-shirt day, or anything but Chicago t-shirt type day, we can do that for sure. One of our more popular items that we are selling for $20 is this nice realtor tumbler. We are trying to get each agent to buy one as much as possible. I bet they'll be great on the float trip next week. So I can do cash, credit card, anything like that. Check. Let me know. Just make it out to RPAC if you do a check. Does anybody have any questions about all of that stuff that I was
Leave it there, Fox.
Okay, thank you guys for bearing with me. I'll be over here. Let me know if you guys want to buy anything. I have way more tumblers in my car. I just didn't feel like carrying a box of it. So, thanks.
Thank you very much, Molly. You know, some of you may know, some of you may not know, some of the local things specifically that RPAC has helped with. One is elections. When I ran for mayor of Pacific, RPAC did send a contribution for that. I know there's been a couple other candidates within our board that RPAC has given to, so it does help that get the realtor message into our political process, or at least try. I did not. They voted for the wrong Steve, but which in hindsight may have been a good thing. I'm not sure yet. But there's that. Another thing locally is when the county was talking about their zoning change last year, members of your advocacy committee here, as well as the president, went and spoke before Planning and Zoning, the County Planning and Zoning Commission, as well as, I'm not sure which this was recorded, because I probably could come up with a different name for those 3 other commissioners we spoke in front of. But it was, unfortunately, our message got drowned out due to CAFOs, which really had no potential of even being started in our county because of space requirements. But we went and tried to fight on zoning, on how it should be redone, especially on the eastern side of the county versus the western side of the county, just as the development's going. We were successful in pausing the discussion on planning and zoning, but our 3 county commissioners went ahead and moved forward. But there's just an example there. Also, there was a local issue in Herman, and some of our realtor members reached out to us, and Amanda at the time reached out to the RPAC. One of the things that was there was a call to action. If you guys seen those in your emails or on your cell phones, that comes from NAR, but that helps through RPAC on local issues to fight. So unfortunately, that didn't 100% go the way the realtors were advocating for, but based on our first communication with the legislation, the city council up there in Herman, they actually tweaked some of the ordinance that they were passing. So we did have an impact on it, it just didn't have the 100% desired outcome. But still, every little win is still a win, and that's what RPAC does. Yes, Mom?
I just meant just made me think of something, but about 98% of the statewide elected officials, which I know a lot come from this area, that we do support, all won their election cycles. So don't let this negativity influence your mind.
Everyone but Steve.
Yeah.
But Steve.
I have to point out the positive stuff.
No, that is, it is true. Those of us that are actively involved, you know, I still stay in contact, and as a, what do they call that when you're?
State political coordinator.
Yes, with my local state reps, Representative Dottie Bailey. I know Bob is one. I think Steve may have somebody that he's talked to. I don't remember all of those local ones, but we do have a lot of state reps and state reps within our 3 board districts that we stay in close communication with, and they have been very supportive of the realtor movement and what we do. And then placemaking, I know that's one thing Molly had mentioned was the placemaking grants, which is not a political thing, but a community thing. We as a board of directors have been talking about at the last meeting about applying for a placemaking grant. Our president-elect Steve Leaker kind of brought the idea up about potentially doing a placemaking grant and creating a nice spot in memorial of Bob Hansen, who was a longtime FCBR member and contributor, and doing something in his honor that everybody can enjoy, because Bob was all about the community. He's done an immense amount of stuff for ECC. There's stories I don't even know. Of course, he always had a lot of stories, so I did like listening to them. So there's, again, something that's not politically driven, but an example of what's being discussed currently in regards to placemaking. And then, this is kind of past, and you all missed it. Your local RPAC committee, thanks to Christina Anderson, we had our winery tour, our first winery tour 2 weeks ago. That sound about right? 3 weeks ago? Again, it all blends together. About 3 weeks ago, we went to the 4 Hoffman wineries. Some of us got to actually talk to Hoffman, which were kind of cool. Basically just me. But it was a really good time. We had a really good turnout for the first time, and it's something that we're going to do again next year. And so Christine Anderson came up, kind of was her brainchild, and she saw that through. And Steve, I mean, it was a good time, wasn't it?
It was a very good time.
So hopefully we can get more participation, you know. And another good time coming up is the float trip on the 22nd. I know a lot of people here have been on that, or at least down the barbecue part of it, and some have actually survived the river. So it's always a good time, and we encourage all the participation. Continue to move forward. Communication breakdown. So I've talked with several of our members and received feedback to them, questioning some communication. And I'm just going to kind of go over a few things on how FCBR and the board stays in touch with everybody that's going on. I know we get thousands of emails a day, and we can't go through them all, and there's so many feeds going on in Facebook and Twitter and WhatsApp or whatever else is going. There's always something new that comes along. But I would like to recognize Amanda on this, because she has been really good about getting information out there, whether we read it or not. But just so you guys know, if you didn't, there's a newsletter that gets emailed out to the membership, as well as our Facebook members page that posts what's coming on, what's coming up in the future, what's happened. A great place to ask questions. Did you know? Common trend that Amanda posts is classes that are available. Some are free, some cost, but through NAR or through Maris or whatever the case may be. There's videos on the website, our current website, right? New one?
Probably about a year ago.
About a year ago. You know, it has a copy of all the minutes that happens within the meetings. It posts the events that are coming up. It's just one more tool for us to get the message out there. I've had, I'm on a soapbox just a fuzz, I've had people reach out and say, well, we need more communication, I don't know what's going on. I go, well, there's Facebook posts, well, I don't get on that. Well, there's emails, well, I get a bunch of them. Well, we have videos you can go back and watch. I don't have time for that. Well, we have meetings, I know I haven't seen you there. Well, I can't make those either. But you need to tell us more what's going on. I don't know how we can get the word out any further than what we already do between everything. I mean, Ann and I have done 45-second videos of, hey, this is what's up, and then move on. Just because it pops into Facebook and social media differently. The word's getting out there. We can only do so much as a board to put the word out. I would encourage the brokers that are here and watching, you know, we need your help to be diligent and keep track of kind of what's going on. We are putting information out, as well as to pass that information on to your agents. Because if we as brokers aren't helping that communication, then I think we're not fully living up to the potential that we've aspired to live up to as brokers, as well as members of FCBR. If there is any other thing that we can try to implement for communication, because there's always one more thing coming up, please don't hesitate. Call me, send me an email or a text, or call or send Amanda an email or text. We're more than happy to do things to get the word out more efficiently. But right now, there's quite a few avenues of how it's going. I even had one person say, why don't you guys do a shredded day? I go, we do. I said, no, we used to do this years ago, you only have the bins. I said, no, we do it quarterly. So we don't throw a party every quarter on the shredded day, but the shredded truck does show up, and anybody's welcome to bring their documents or whatever they don't want anybody to see.
It's actually every 8 weeks.
Is it every 8 weeks? Once a quarter, every 8 weeks, close enough. Check on the calendar. Again, there's so much going on, I can't keep track of it all. That's why there's calendars, and then I can reference them. But again, we're trying to do as much as we can and for member services there, and as well as communication. Looking to the future, which is always fun because we don't know what the housing market's going to do, but we do know that elections are coming up in November, not just local and national, but FCBR. The 2022 committees and board of directors open seats for elections are as follows: president-elect, treasurer for 2022, secretary for 2022. We have four directors, local director positions open that are 3-year positions. We have 2 state director positions that are coming open. If anybody knows any agent that may say yes in a weak moment, thanks, Mark, who wants to say yes to being nominated, jot those names down. We'll be happy to have them. Through our restructuring of last year to now, the membership committee is broken into two subcommittees, one being succession and the other one being election. The president-elect, Steve Leaker, is the chair of the succession committee, so if you guys have bodies that you want to throw out there, let him know, because he will be next year's president, and I think that is a privilege of being the next year's president, to kind of pick and choose or guide or massage bodies in the way that you want to do to create a board that you're looking for, that's going to move the FCBR forward. If there's anybody you can think of for any of the committees, let us know. We also have vacancies on multiple committees now. When we did our restructuring, we combined committees into other committees, so we have less chairs. We've expanded others to be more effective. It's just hard getting, see you, Mark, thanks for coming. It's just hard getting bodies and people to say yes. Either they're really busy, they have other commitments, or for whatever reason, they just don't want to be involved with the board. But if there is folks that you know, that's fine. Keep in mind, all of our affiliates that are here and listening, most of you serve on a committee of some sort. Committees are available, open to affiliates to serve on, because we want that input from you. Not only do we appreciate your monetary support of our events and what we do, we also appreciate that knowledge that you bring to the table that we as realtors may not be thinking of as we're on these committees. But just also let you know, unfortunately, we are not in a position that affiliates can serve on the board of directors just because of the nature of the organization. So, that being said, upcoming events, please mark your calendars, and hopefully they're all on this campus. I believe they are. The upcoming events are the float trip on July 22nd, and it's always a good time. It's a lot of fun, and we get to raise money for RPAC. Washington Fair Gates are August 4th. Michelle Elbert is the chair of that. She's gathering names for the shifts to work fair gates. So if you your office want to come out and volunteer, get a hold of Rochelle. The Missouri Realtors Diversity Summit is August 9th through 10th at the Lake of the Ozarks. This is a free continuing education opportunity. On the 9th is Nate Johnson. Nate Tate's one of our state reps. Nate Johnson will be teaching a diversity class, and it'll be 6 hours of continuing education that is being paid for by MR. And the following day is a guest speaker. Again, his name escapes me right now, but it's going to be a good time. And it's all free, minus a hotel room for participants. Thankfully, a lot of our affiliates across the state have donated money to this event, which is helping to offset some of the costs there. They really haven't been petitioning necessarily, it's just kind of grassroots have done that, but it's a great opportunity for our realtors. They can go. The golf tournament's coming up September 10th, always a lot of fun. I already know the teams are forming now, and I've had folks hit me up already here in July for September, because that's how much they enjoy the FCBR golf tournament. I'm sure Sandy and Donna, and probably Donna and Brant will be out there. Sorry, Tracy, I don't know if you golf or don't golf.
A little bit.
I know those three for sure do. Somebody has to work. Our election night, again, is going to be at the White Mule on September 22nd. That always seems to be a fun location and a fun event. RPAC fishing tournament is September 25th. This really is kind of a unique and neat event. You don't even have to like the fish, but just coming out and hanging out, and making s'mores and eating hot dogs and hamburgers is fun. There seems to be a lot of kids that show up. I brought my niece out. I know Amanda's brought her kids out. I can't go down the list of all the, but it's turned into a really kind of a family-oriented kind of deal. It's unique in itself, but it does raise money for RPAC to keep that mission going. The Missouri Realtors Fall Business Conference is in Kansas City, September 29th through October 1st. That's where we do the business stuff at MR and vote on the new policies going forward. The NAR Realtor Conference is going to happen this year. So far, November 12th through the 15th. Who knows with the resurgence of COVID that San Diego may shut down. We don't know, but that's mark your calendars and hopefully you can attend there. This is a very special year for FCBR. Our 75th anniversary is November 12th. That's the actual date. If you notice our koozies here today mark the 75th anniversary on them. There's also a website store, a web store that has been started to where you can purchase your own t-shirts, collared shirts. I think there's a hat on there, maybe another item, but you can do that if you do it now between now and the 14th of July. We will open that store again.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to say that, because we're closing the store on the 14th, everything will get delivered to FCBR before the Washington Fair Gates. So, if you participate in Washington Fair Gates Day, you will have an FCBR t-shirt to wear if you order them now. And yes, we'll open it back up in the fall.
And that being said, the 75th installation banquet is November 5th at Elijah McLean's. This will be when we will install our President-elect Steve Leaker as president. He's got the privilege and honor of, I guess, being the 75th president of the organization. It's really cool that we've been around that long. That being said, I
think the date's
do not, but it'll be an evening event. It'll be an evening gala. It's going to be really cool.
should be the 5th.
He said the actual anniversary.
That being said, is there any questions that of the board or anything we can take back to the board anybody may have? Seeing none, I'd like to thank everybody for attending today. I really do appreciate those that came out. I wish a few more folks would have came out, but this is a good turnout. I don't think we have too many leftovers. Feel free to take some more pastries with you.
We have a lot of leftovers.
So, Amanda and I have been on a diet. We don't need the leftovers. So,
Another-
thank you again much for coming. Hope to see you at the next event.